Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It is another beautiful day in sunny Southern California. And to anyone catching the show on whatever platform you're on, welcome. Hey, Petty Deb, welcome. Blunt, welcome. Blunt Ninja, welcome. JAJ, whoever you are, welcome. Hello. And as per the new format, I'm going to let this whole song play, this entire song play, and take you guys out with something different every day. Hopefully you'll like it. If not, I'll have something the next day, but I hope you will. Hey, Minnesota, welcome. How are you? Hope everything's going well with you also today. And if you guys were here for the end of yesterday's show, you know that Thursday we're going to do Tarot Thursday. Crazy Lady's into tarot reading, so she's going to read a couple of cards if you're interested. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here and get started. Hey, Brina, welcome. All right, so today I want to talk about photo albums. And yes, I do have photo albums. Have a lot of photo albums. And again, my friends and I, we have a lot of different conversations. We talk about a lot of different things, but one particular friend, again, we were talking about photo albums. And photo albums, for me, I think they are a must, and I think they're very important. Nowadays, everybody takes photos on their phone, and I was looking at how many photos I have on my phone, and I have over 4,000 photos on my phone. Which some of it is business related. A lot of it is, pictures of, people that I've taken photos with or other people. But, we live in such a digital age that you're not really able to share photos. And I know it may be boring. Oh, someone comes over your house or whatever. You're like, oh, you want to see pictures of my family? You're like, no. And they sit you down with photo albums. But I like photo albums. I like, every so often picking up a photo album and looking through it. And I do so more now. Hey, Gigi, welcome. I do so more now since my parents are gone. And, my sister and I, we divvied up, I guess you can say, some photos that we had. Do you want this? Do you want that? One thing that my mom did, and I am very appreciative that she did this. And when my son was born, I started doing it with him. He has a photo album for every year that he's been on Earth. As he got older, that photo album, say when he was, 6 or 7. Um, I used to go up to his school all the time, taking pictures, him and his friends, whatever. So he has pictures mingled in, when he was in school. When he started homeschooling, I still took photos, but I remember when, and my sister and I were talking about this, when my mom, she would just, that camera was always out, always out. And if any of you all remember the name Kodak or Polaroid, the camera was always out. And hey, crazy lady, welcome. And we were always like, Mom, would you stop? Would you stop with the camera? Nobody wants to take all these pictures, blah, 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 blah. But over the years, you start to appreciate them. She was very much into photo albums, and she had them organized a certain way. And I find that my organization, mimics hers to a certain extent. I've added my own flavor on some things, but looking through a photo album and remembering things, to me, is different from looking on your phone. First of all, unless you have your photos on your phone separated into albums, or you have them separated, you're basically flipping. Oh, here's the photo, But I think when you put things in a photo album, it kind of makes it more personal, personable, personal. And I just think that those memories mean a little bit more in a photo album than on a phone. Now, I have, photos that I still need to put in photo albums. I get, I go to Walgreens, so I can get doubles. But I find myself making photo albums, not just for me, but for my son. And I know y'all tired of hearing about my son, but I make them for him, and as my sister and I were cleaning out the house, we found a lot of double photo albums. And my mom made two. And we knew that she made one for my sister and one for me. So there were some, for most of the part, we didn't have any photos that we had to divvy up, but there were some. There were some. And some of them we if someone, one of us really didn't really wanted it, if we really wanted, we just went to Walgreens again and made a copy. But and then Blunt says, I actually love to scrapbook with pictures. Yes. And Brina says, I have photo albums. It's nice to be able to write notes next to them for context. Yes. Crazy Lady says photos are important. And Brina says, just have one for my son. But you should have them. And if you're not writing, notes next to them, you're writing them on the back of the photo. Looking at photo albums from the 30s and 40s and 50s, when my parents were growing up, just seeing how, of course, they've yellowed over the years, but you look on the back and it says, there was so-and-so, people that you've probably never heard of or never met. And then there's a little, note next to it, 1952, 1946, whatever. And it kind of reminded me when I went to visit my great aunt years and years and years and years ago when I was still living in Chicago, and I went to the Bay Area to stay with her for a week. And, she was pulling out photo albums, and these photo albums went way, 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 way back, and I've never been bored when people show me their photos. Especially if they have a history behind it. And I usually sometimes even ask people if I can see their photos, because I just get a kick out of them. And a lot of photos have a story. A lot of them have history. And since we live in the digital age, and I say this to people, hi Ralph, welcome. I say this because I truly think that it's important The silent generation, which was before the boomer generation, they're all getting older and they're dying. Crucible, welcome. They're all getting older and they're dying. And with them, a lot of their stories are dying with them too. And these are stories maybe they haven't told, or maybe they told one other person or whatever, and that person's gone. Photos help tell the story. Photos help tell where you are, where you've been. There are photos of some of everything. And I love going, into a photo gallery where people have, they're displaying photos and what have you. And every photo, even if it's just you standing there taking a picture up under a tree, every photo has a story. I just think that they're important. And if you have photos just laying around or stacked around, take some time to, buy a photo album, which sometimes they're hard to find, but you can still get them. And just, put those photos in an album. The phone is fine. And someone told me once, well, if there was a fire, at least you have your photos in your phone. I said, yeah, you'll have some photos in your phone, but you won't have everything. And if my house ever burned down, one thing that I would take would be my photo album. People say, oh, well, you can, this is just a house or whatever. Yeah, it is just a house. It is just a sofa, a bed, a car, all that can get burned up. But photos, those can't be replaced. Even some keepsakes that you have, those cannot be replaced. So having said all that, does anybody want to add anything, or yes, no, yes? How many of you all have photos sitting around that are still just sitting around, as opposed of not being, in a scrapbook or in a photo album, on a photo collage? I have all of my, Brian says, I have stacks of physical photos that haven't made into an album yet. Okay. All right. So maybe one weekend when you're bored or it's raining outside or whatever, you can, start that project. I just enjoy, for me personally, I just enjoy looking at albums. I enjoy, going through it, and some of the albums that I had, back when I was little, going through it and just looking at the various things that take you back. The Christmas tree we had, when I was 7. We had one of those silver trees until my mother made my father get rid of it, and then we still had the fake tree, but it was the green tree, But and I said I'm never gonna have a fake tree. So when I moved out to California, we had real trees forever, and then it was like they were getting too expensive. It was too much to lug them in the house, take them out, have to put them. They have to be a certain way for the trash men to pick them up. So now we're back to the fake green tree. So, but the trees have gotten smaller over the years. We don't have the big ones. We have the smaller ones. But yeah, so that's just my little blurb on photo albums and why I think that you should have them. Again, your phone is great, but a photo album, it just takes you back. I can look at photos in my phone and say, oh, I remember that, whatever. But again, the photo album, it takes you back to hopefully a nice place and a nice time where you can look at it and say, I remember her. I remember, playing with her when I was little or doing this, doing that. And the same thing with yearbooks. I still have my yearbooks, and on occasion, I'll look at, some of my yearbooks from, my sophomore year, freshman year, whatever. And you just kind of laugh at, I actually wore that. I had my hair looking like that, or seeing someone that you had a crush on, or someone you didn't like, or whatever. you know, and then you read what some people write in the yearbooks, and then some people you remember, and some people you're like, who were they? You got to go back and look at the yearbook to see their picture. But again, yes, Brina, the fashion choices. We won't talk about some of our fashion choices, but yeah. But Crucible, welcome.
Hello, Solid. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I agree with you. Scientists usually have said in the past, I don't think there's a consensus, but I've noticed it myself. When in terms of your five senses, they say that your sense of smell brings back more memories than any other sense. Now, I can't quantify that or prove that. It would seem to make sense based on my own personal experience. But there's something about a photo album, an actual album, not pictures on a phone or on a digital camera. That's a different environment for viewing them. There's something about the physical, tactile act of picking up a photo album and flipping through it. You don't know what's going to come on the next page. Now, you don't know on your phone what picture's coming next either, so to be fair, but you're really taking a trip down memory lane, and it isn't just the pictures themselves, what's going on in that picture at that time. In other words, you're with your family, or you're at a graduation party, wherever you are, you can immediately understand what was happening on that day during that time, usually. But then you look in the background and you can see different makes and models of cars. As Brina said, you guys said, fashion choices. What were we wearing back then? What else was going on in the country back then? You get these different nostalgic frames of reference that bring all these things back. And what prompted me to go through this album about 4 weeks or 5 weeks or so ago, I had just attended one of my class reunions, and it put me in that nostalgic mind frame where I wanted to start going back in the past and looking at pictures. And I've got two or three of them. When my parents passed away, I wound up with them somehow. And every once in a while, I avoided them for a long time because they made me sad. But after a while, I realized they don't make me sad. They make me happy because they evoke memories of times, simpler times. Like I said, the things in the background will give you these cultural reference points. You can see the different signage on different stores, and you're like, holy mackerel, that must have been 100 years ago. And it was only like 30 years ago. So there's something about going through a photo album versus a phone or something else. The medium matters, I think. When you're looking at old pictures and nostalgia, there's something incongruous about viewing them on the latest technology. I'm an old school guy. It seems to me the best venue for that would be an old time photo album where you go page by page and you get surprised every time you turn the page.
Okay, I would agree with that. Crazy Lady, welcome.
Um, for me, because like I miss like pictures. My dad had a house fire and stuff, so like um pictures of like when you go like away on vacation, or places you've been, you know, it's you know, say, oh hey, this is like when we went seen the Colosseum or the pyramids and stuff, um pictures, like freeze that moment in time.
Hmm. And they do freeze that moment in time. And Blunt Ninja says, I love looking at my grandfather's pics from World War II. I mean, pictures can take you back. In case of Blunt Ninja, looking at pictures from World War II, I mean, they tell a story. Um, People who I'm pretty sure your grandfather served with, whatever. I mean, every photo, no matter how silly it may be or how simple it is, I think every photo tells a story. And then Ralph says, "What about old school slideshows?" Yes, on projectors. Yes, that is one thing I was able to retrieve from my parents' house. The old uh, slideshow projector and the actual film projector with the screen, the manual screen that my father used to put up and have to pull out and hook it on the other side. And, we would sit there watching, either slideshows or the film of, my sister and I run around. And in this case, the projector that we had was silent. So you see us like waving, looking silly, whatever. But again, those are things that to me are just so, you can't get that on a camera. Yes, you can take a video, but I don't know. It's just not the same. And if you do have videos on your camera, download them and put them, either put them on a drive or something, and just just have them where they're other than on anything other than your phone. So I don't know. Brina says to Blunt, yeah, that's really nice to have those. And Blunt Ninja says it's really cool how the pictures reveal day-to-day life. Yes. And now they have 3D pictures, 360. I also see, when you just look back at a time when things were more simple, you went to a movie. Well, back in the Midwest, we said movie, or we say show. We also say you go to the show. Just going to a movie, to a show, to the cinema, whatever, however you want to call it, was a lot different back then than waiting until it came out on DirecTV and you're watching it on cable. I remember going, changing it up a bit. I remember going to the show, and we would see 2 movies and a cartoon, and you can sit through it. If you came in late, they didn't clear the theater. Nowadays you come in late. Well, that's too bad. You missed the first minutes. They're clearing the theater. You can sit there literally all day if you wanted to, and watch the movies. So no problem, crazy lady. Thanks for popping on. So Ralph, welcome.
How are you? Am I coming in okay?
Yes, you are, loud and clear.
No, I just wanted to mention because there's a lot of different, there's people out there that want to accentuate new technologies and stuff like that. And I thought because we all want to look at a picture and and remember things. But when I see these new things with 360 pictures, and it's kind of like immersing you in the memory. Like I think there's like these cameras that when you take a picture, it takes a 360 view, and then you can pop them in like on YouTube, or if you have a VR headset, and you can look through those pictures as if you were in that point in time. Like you can see all around you, like if you were, or if you can take a 360 video and walk through like a museum or something or whatever, and you can just look around like if you're actually there. So I think that's like giving a new experience to you know looking at an old photo album or something like that, because people do that so that they can immerse themselves in a memory, to get that
Mm-hmm.
you know that like you were there, put the process in your head. But with these new technologies now, I guess it's making it a little bit easier for you to do that.
Okay. All right. And I am not knocking technology at all. But for me, for my preference, I'm old school. I'm old school with most things. I still write with pencil and paper, and I have my eraser, whatever. I'm one of those. I'll write stuff down, with a piece of paper before I'll type it into my phone, because to me it's just faster, easier. Grab some paper and it's there. But I like old school. But Ralph, you do have a point with the new technology. The new technology is allowing you, to do a lot more with pictures and photos. But Ralph, let me ask this: how many people would you say? What percentage? And I'm not looking for an exact science, whatever. What percentage of people would you say that when you take a picture on your phone, you may forward it to whomever else was in the picture, or if you're on vacation or something like that. But how many people actually go back and look at those photos on their phone once they took them?
Probably not a lot because a lot of, well, it depends. A lot of people may have a lot of storages, so they might, keep a lot of the photos in their phone, but actually sit there. They might sit there and look at the ones that they think are important, just in case they need to save, memory space on their phones or something, or wherever they're holding it. But it's like going back to the projector thing. We made it. Those old little jokes. Of people getting bored while sitting through a slideshow or whatever.
Right.
But it was a afternoon event, right? Like everybody's sitting around looking at a projector of somebody's family vacation or a video, and people would like it, some people wouldn't. But when it's things that are instantaneous, it's kind of like our social media where we can look at a picture and 3 seconds and that's it. We're on to the next thing. It's having that physical, tangible thing like a scrapbook or a photo album. Those are for the people that are into that. I'm old school too. I just use the keyboard because I have sloppy handwriting. So, but yeah, it all depends on people's preferences, and what makes them dwell on it more for longer periods of time.
Okay. All right. Now, Craigslist says I delete out the really crappy ones, and Brina says same, only end up keeping a fraction of what I took. And Crazy says, and sometimes order picture books. Okay. So, all right. So, how many people would you say, and this is for Ralph Crucible, and of course, people that are in the chat, how many people would you say would feel more comfortable? I'm not saying easier, I'm saying more comfortable. Are you more comfortable if you want to show pictures of your vacation? Are you more comfortable giving someone your phone and saying flip through this, or are you more comfortable giving them a photo album?
I mean, if you're the type that does photo albums, then that might be your thing. Uh, and for a lot of people that are I don't know what you call them, that are phone warriors, just have to take pictures of everything. There might be certain things that you might not want everybody to see on your phone, or it
Mm-hmm.
could be a screenshot of some personal information or anything like that. You never know. But if you're into putting something, and plus you have more control, like if you're doing a photo album,
Mm-hmm.
if you like to give out photo albums for like a Christmas season, I know some families do that. Like a family portrait with some. I know some. See, I was born in a certain area, right? So I don't know if this is because of certain people or whatever, but do people actually put the time in to have like a family newsletter, like to send out to everybody in the family, like to tell, oh, what so and so is doing or things like that? I mean, it all depends if you're the type that can do that.
Ralph, when my son was little, I used to do the newsletter thing, and then I stopped. And when I stopped, people were like, "We didn't get a newsletter. How come you didn't do?" I mean, I just stopped. When he got older, I just stopped, and I don't think I've done it since he was maybe like 9, whatever. But every so often people say, "Oh, you're not doing your newsletter, whatever." But I would do it during Christmas when I would send out Christmas cards. I would put it, inside of that, whatever, with the Christmas card saying, this is what's been going on this year, blah 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 blah.
Nice.
So Crucible, you have anything you want to add?
Well, I thought that was an interesting point you made about, and I'm not going to drift too far here, but about letting people flip through pictures on your phone or in a photo album. I'm going to put a little bit of a wrinkle on that. Pictures are such personal things. I mean, they're personal to the people who are in the picture or who know people in the picture. And I don't know how many of you have been in this situation. I'm sure we all have at some point. Our pictures are really important to us because of all the things I just said. Other people's pictures are really important to them because of what I said. However, other people's pictures are rarely, unless you're very close to that person or you're in the picture or you know people in these pictures, very rarely are other people really as interested in other people's pictures as other people would think that they're interested in. So I think we've all at times sat next, pulled out the photo album, and we'll go painstakingly, page by page, pointing out each picture, what was going on, who was who's still alive, and you can sit there for 4 hours and wishing you were in some sort of a root canal someplace, and they don't pick up on the fact that there's a limit to people's attention spans when you're not talking about them. People will be real interested in the photo album. If you say, oh, look, I want you to go through this with me. There's all kinds of pictures in here of you and I and a bunch of people that we know. You're going to sit down with a whole different level of interest as opposed to, I went on vacation a couple years ago. You don't know any of the people. You don't know any of the frames of reference. You don't know any of the places they went to. And you've got to be polite and sit there and nod your head until the light bulb goes off and somebody finally says, okay, I think we've had enough. But I think it's interesting. Other people's pictures are something that we have an aversion to, I think, just because we're bored. But when it comes to our pictures, they're the most interesting things in the world. But I think that just boils down to us as people. We can be very self-interested. And if you want to talk about me, I got all day. If you want to talk about you, I look at my watch and I go, I got to be someplace. So it's just human nature.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Chill, and welcome. Oh, she left or he left. Well, welcome. I agree with you, Crucible, but I am going to say to an extent because, well, first of all, first of all, I don't just stick a photo album in somebody's face and say, hey, you want to see, pictures of my family or my vacation, whatever. If they ask, I will give them the photo album, but I don't sit there next to people. I've never done that. I've never sat next to people, going page by page. Oh, well, this is when we, in 19, whatever. And this is when we did this. And this was when, I don't do that. I let you look through the pictures. If you want to ask questions, you ask questions. And that's how I prefer to look at someone else's photos. I don't mind looking at someone's photos, but I prefer to do it on my own. I don't need a blow by blow on what each picture was and where you were. I may ask, well, where were you here or what was this? And I also don't have a problem looking at someone's vacation photos. It's interesting. You could have gone to a place where I've never been, and I'm seeing photos. Again, I just don't want you sitting next to me, giving me a play-by-play, account of, well, this was my Aunt May and this was Uncle Fred. And, I don't need to know that. I didn't ask. Whatever. But I do think looking at other people's photos are interesting to a certain extent. Hey, Dee, welcome. And then Rita says, I'd rather give them physical pictures or the photo album. I don't want people flipping through my phone. And I agree. I also don't want people flipping through my phone because you have a habit of, or at least this is what I do. I will hold up the phone. Like you say, oh, do you have a picture of this? I'll hold up my phone because like you said, giving people your phone. And this is one thing that I have noticed. If people give me their phone and say, oh, this is a picture of my whatever. If they give me their phone, I'll look at it, then I'll give the phone back. You have some people who you're giving them the picture to look at one picture, then they just start flipping. And it's like, well, I'm like, hold on, so.
This is not a menu. Stop flipping.
Right. But if you ask to see a picture of, let me see a picture of your grandchild, whatever. And you say, oh, okay, this is him or her or whatever. And if you give them the phone, you're just showing them one picture. They don't need to start flipping. And I've always thought that was rude. And yes, it could be human nature. But once again, That's not me. You give me your phone. You show me your grandchild. I look at it. I give it back. I'm not trying to flip. Chill. Welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. How the hell? I want to know. If I give you my photo book, you don't want me to tell you where I was at. This was me at the strip club in 1992 with my best friends that's in the Navy. That's a good backstory. You don't think that has nothing to do with it?
I understand.
Goodness.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't need to sit next to you getting a play-by-play of every single photo. I mean, and
I can't
also,
stand that either. You're right. You're right. You're
and if I'm looking at the photo book, I may want to move on while you're still trying to, well, here, this picture right here was me, at the strip club,
aggressive. Yeah,
whatever,
aggressive.
and I'm okay.
Aggressive.
I've seen it. I'm trying to move on. So, and that's why I just give people. If people are wanting to see a photo album, I'll just give them the album. If they have a question, hey, what was going on here, I'll come over, oh, that was when blah blah blah, whatever. Or if I'm not sure, I'll pull it out because I write down everything on the back of my
Y'all
photos.
still got photo albums y'all dating yourselves.
Well, you know what, and that is fine. But I think photo albums, I have them, I keep them, and I'm still working on them. So
yeah, I mean, I know that's what my mama do to me every time. Come here, baby. And she tell me about people who I know that I forgot to her. Like, that's your cousin that you grew up with for 13 years in your household. You remember her? I was like, nah, mama, I don't remember her. So yeah, I get it. I get it. It's kind of, but I don't know. It depends on who it is. Because if it's your elders, you just gotta let it. You gotta let it ride. You know what I'm saying? If it's somebody that's just happy to have time with you, it depends. That's what it's contingent upon. Because some people just, I can pass, but somebody I don't know, I really don't care about, that's trying to show me pictures, I really hate that. Like, I do not like pictures. I don't want to see. I have no interest in pictures at all. Like, if you try to impose them on me, I do get it. But if I really want to see it, if I think it's interesting, or if like I said, if I'm getting a history lesson, a legit history lesson, yeah, I want to see it. You know what I mean? But other than that, I ain't trying to sit down with nobody, that random people that I don't know, to tell me about some stuff that I don't care about. I do get that, but sometimes I step outside of myself and then be like, and think about, maybe it ain't for me right now, it's for them.
okay, all right,
Now, Solid Blue's sister, does that change if it's a significant other or somebody you're interested in? Like, would you wish that on somebody?
Absolutely. So you can, you ain't gonna tell your husband especially somebody you ain't, for men, you ain't gonna tell a woman you ain't even hit it yet. I don't want to see these pictures. You
But
not saying none of that.
But you know what? I have told people that that I'll look at the photos later. I don't want to look at them now. I'll look at them later, and later never came, whatever. But I do think it's rude for people to just impose their photo albums on you, and people will do that more so. Well, I mean, I don't know what do you all think? Do you think that people would be more likely to impose a photo album on you, or shove a phone in your face and say, hey, look, this is my grandson when he went to the World Series? I mean, do you think that they're more likely to impose a phone and stick a phone in your face, or if you're over their house, whatever, and they do have the phone, the pictures on the phone, or do you think that they're more likely to impose a photo album? So, Ralph?
Are we talking about a significant other in the
No,
context, or just in
well,
general?
no, I'm just saying in,
In
general, do you think people would shove a phone in your face to look at pictures, or shove a photo album?
Oh, well, I mean, like I said, it depends on what kind of person they are. If they're the type that would put a photo album together, it depends on the relationship you have with the person. I mean, you can use an engagement of, if it's somebody that you're interested in, that's kind of a showing of how much I trust you. If I'm going to hand over my phone to you, to see what you would go through, or how much you go through, if you want to gauge it like that. But in terms of a general thing, I guess it all depends. A lot of people will probably, give you their phone because it's the first thing available to them, but with the condition that you're only going to look at that one picture. you know, like Brina and myself, I'm not, I'm like, yo, just look at this and only this. Don't go, don't go flipping.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's what I think about that.
Okay. And then in terms of your significant other, are you saying would you not tell someone you don't want to look at their photos because they're a significant other as opposed to, say, a coworker or a friend? Is that what you're asking also?
Right. Well, I was just wondering, like, if it's somebody that you already are in a relationship with, whether it's long term or short term, uh, w- I don't know if, like, would it matter to them if they wanted to see your old school pictures, maybe of yourself, right, just to see how you grew up,
Oh, I mean, I
and
don't mind.
if you want to see an
I
old
don't
boyfriend
mind
picture.
showing people photos. And in my photo album, you may, the old the boyfriend may
Right.
be in those photos because that was part of my life back then. I'm not going to go through my phone. Oh no, so and so's coming over. Well, let me remove these photos because at the same time they have to realize I knew them before I knew you, and you may end up in my photo album, but we may not, make it, in a
Right.
relationship. So I'm not going to start, sanitizing my picture album or whatever just because I'm with someone. I think that's silly. So
Right. It's kind of like I was in another podcast where they mentioned they would keep old letters from, like, letters in general, but also from old boyfriends and girlfriends. So, like, then the current boyfriend or girlfriend would see those letters, and then there would be like a back and forth or certain feelings going around. So I was wondering if that's the same thing
But
when it
you know
comes to
what though?
photos.
But Ralph, you bring up a good point. And Crucible, I do know you are patiently waiting. Ralph, you bring up a good point because once again, if I'm keeping letters of old boyfriends, whatever, again, this is part of my life. Apparently, those letters meant something to me. Does it mean that I, still like them a lot or I'm still in love with them, whatever? But am I supposed to toss all of my old life just because you're here? I don't think you should do that. And that's just me. And I know that people get bent out of shape or whatever. I'm not that person. So, things that you accumulate and you accumulate things over the years. You tend to save things and put stuff, up on a shelf, whatever. And you may pull it out, every so often, or if you're cleaning and you come across and you look on it, and you can look back on it and laugh or something like that. But that's part of your life. So does that
Fair
answer your
enough.
question for you, or at least for me, from my
Sure.
answer?
Sure.
So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so Crucible, thank you for patiently waiting.
I think to answer your question, what would somebody more likely, hand you, a photo album or a phone? I think that largely depends on how old they are. I think younger people today, obviously, they embrace technology more than older people, and it's such a ubiquitous part of their life that they're more likely to do that than a photo album. But I got to thinking about the disposability of pictures on digital platforms these days, whether it's a camera or whether it's a phone, and how easy it is, whether you're just flipping through them casually one day, you're bored or something, and you get a impulse to maybe start deleting some of them. You think you might have too many, or you just, whatever the reason is. And it's so easy to do that. And I think it's so tempting and so reckless or short sighted because if you had an actual physical photo album and you were going through it and you came across a picture that you might be kind of like, yeah, I don't know why I took that. Would you physically, now most of these albums there, the pictures are taped in there, right? So you'd have to physically remove the picture, pry the tape off of there, and not that it would take a big deal. You can just rip the picture out of the album, but that's a conscious effort that you're making to remove a piece of your history or your nostalgia from the photo album, and you probably wouldn't do it. But if you're holding a digital camera or an iPhone, and all you have to do is press a button and the picture's gone, there seems to be less um, history attached when you have a piece of technology where everything can be deleted, whereas on a physical album, you wouldn't do that. So I think that's an interesting distinction to make between a digital photo album and an actual photo album.
Okay, and I think it is easier to delete a photo from your phone as opposed, to just taking a photo out of a photo album. But one thing that I do is, or I try to do it once I've downloaded the photos to be printed and I actually have the physical photos. A lot of times I do delete the photos because because if I was going to forward the photo on to someone else, I would have already done it. There's no need for me to have it on my phone. So, and again, I'm always working on photo albums. So, Chill, you want to add anything?
Okay, so I was thinking in reference to you deleting things that, listen, some stuff you're gonna get rid of. If you with your new husband, Silent, I'm sorry, you're gonna get rid of that stuff. You ain't about to keep it. If you with your new boo and they flipping through your phone, you about to get rid of some of that stuff because it just be deemed disrespectful. If that's the case, not necessarily you, I'm just saying most people I think would get rid of it. They ain't want to have, you can go, and first of all, I don't care, you go ahead and flip through my phone. First of all, how many people are here, if I wasn't present and I gave you my phone, they start flipping? Now, they might not do it in front of my face. Some people will, because they think you ain't looking. But I think 90% of people in this room, if I left the room and you had my phone, they would flip through something and to see, and if they ran into some D, like, oh, that's what you get. I don't care.
But you know what, Chill? I mean, and again, I am just speaking for myself, because I am just one of those people, like, it is not my business. And you showed me that picture, you walked out the room. I don't want to look to see your phone, because I'm really not interested, and I really don't care. So I just wouldn't. I mean, it's like, okay. You
So you don't have any curiosities about?
No, I mean,
that's the question. That's the question I was asking. Like, what if the person with the phone was dumb enough to say, here are some pictures, I want you to see those, but stop at this one because there's others in there that I don't want anybody to see, and they walk out of the room.
And that
my first thing would be, let's see those damn pictures.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, for you to say, okay, I want you to flip through the first 5, but when you get to number 6, don't eye this, because those are. I mean, that's like telling people, well, you're egging people on to look at the pictures. But I am just, and again, people who know me, they know I'm one of those, mind your own business. I don't care, whatever. I don't want to see it, and I just move on. So somebody else would, but I wouldn't.
Were you always like that, Solid Blue?
Yes. I have always been I don't care, whatever, you mind your business. When I was little, people say, oh, well, come on, come look at this, whatever. You know what? I don't want to do it. Nope. I'm not interested. I mean, why? Why are you going to do it? Okay. Yeah. So you flip through somebody's phone and you may
got into a jealous curiosity.
I'm not a jealous person.
Okay.
I am not. And again, people who know me in this room know that I am not a jealous person, not at all. If you want to look at that woman, for whatever reason, well then, because put it like this, people are, see, now you get into a whole different show. But people are going to do what they want to do, no matter what, whether you're in the room, whether you're out of the room, whatever. If you leave your phone somewhere, or if you give your significant other or your spouse your password, and they look through your phone, then they get pissed off and they confront you when you come home from work or something like that. That's on you for giving them your password. And you may say, oh, well, she's my wife, she's my husband, they should have my password. I'm sorry, I disagree. You don't need my password. I don't need yours, whatever. We each have our own phone. So if you have some photos on there, you know what? I don't need to know. You got some photos on there
Separate
of
bank
your
accounts
old
too.
whatever. Just go ahead. Yep, bro. Yep. So
Yeah, I agree with Charlotte. I'm just saying, I'm thinking 90% of people would take that opportunity. Number one, and I think if you basically tell somebody, now I'll tell somebody that's not me egging them on to go through nothing. I'll let them know, hey, you want to see some wild shit. Go ahead scrolling at your own risk. That ain't me bragging. This is just me giving you fair warning. Goddamn. So it's just like, listen, don't be stupid. Like, and don't be
but
nosy.
aren't you also then piquing someone's curiosity by even saying that? Maybe if you just didn't say it,
Nah,
they
because
would
everybody
stop
don't
at
want to.
picture number
Women don't want to
5.
see. Typically, women like they get disgusted by stuff like that. Like women, like a dude might want to see a woman. Like women don't want to see, especially if it's a significant, like, or a person that's a person of interest. They don't want to see dudes. Like dudes are still like, ugh, ugh, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, not to say every
Yeah,
woman like
we're
that, but women,
disgusting. Yeah.
men just we can like anything. Yeah, we are. We like, yeah, let's see. I'll eat it. Just like crazy stuff.
Okay, Jill,
It's just different. It's different. It's just different.
all right.
I
I
agree
Um,
with
agree.
him. He's right. He's right.
Petty Deb says, I really don't care what is on someone else's phone, house, or car. The only thing that I'll tell y'all what I would do over somebody else's house, but Crucible, you want to say something?
No, I just want to say I agree with Chill. He's right. Men do have a different view of those things. Women seem to be a little more prudent. Men are like, get those things out here. Let's have a look.
Okay, all right. So, Power Girl, an official welcome to you. I did not say welcome to you. And XHX, whomever you may be, welcome.
You ain't tell me
I'm sorry, what?
out of me.
Oh, please, Jill, we're not going to go through that again today. Again. Let's see. Okay.
I do want to ask, does this stay the same? Does it work the same if it's just maybe not pictures, but like accomplishments? Like guys, now I'm not trying to make it a gender thing, but I'm saying like, would guys have more of a scrapbook from like more accomplishment things than pictures? Like if they had like
I don't know.
like a thing off a
That's a good
newspaper,
question. I mean,
you know?
what do you think? I mean, I don't know.
I, I mean, me, when I was in, well, for me, when I was in, I tried to have a scrapbook or a photo album, whatever, for my, when I was in wrestling in high school. It didn't last very long, but still, that would be me using that, for like, but I wouldn't have a photo album. That's just me. I prefer the new medium now with the phones, but.
I, I
But would
think
you
I
show
think
somebody a photo album of your accomplishments? Is that narcissistic or I don't know?
that's a great question.
Hmm.
That is a good question. And Brina says my ex had all his trophies and medals from college and high school displayed. Okay, Petty Deb, were you coming up, or was that an accident? Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I display no worries, Deb. Um, I anything that my son does, I am collecting, and I find myself, because he's an artist, that things that he draws and what have you, is like I'm putting them, I'm framing some of them, putting them, in a portfolio and things like that. But for the most part, in terms of accomplishments, I don't know if it's a male thing or a female thing, because Rob, you also think about it. You have athletes that are female, athletes that are male. I'm sure all of them are, putting their
Right? Yeah,
accomplishments
I wasn't
somewhere,
trying to
or
make it a gender thing. Yeah, no, I get it.
yeah,
I understand.
but just overall, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It's like I'm trying to find an example, but it's like handing over a scrapbook of just or yeah, photo, whatever of your accomplishments, then handing I don't know, a phone with a video of you receiving an award or something. I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
that's far
All right.
fetched, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to make it about gender either, but that's a really good question. And I'm going to run the risk of stereotyping here, but I mean it in a positive way. Women are more relationship oriented. I think just in life in general, they maintain friendships better. They just have a different approach to relationships, and therefore they might be more inclined to maintain a photo album. Men, I think, are sometimes more inclined towards accomplishment and achievement and individual striving and things like that. So they may be apt, and I did it as a kid as well. I had some medals in there from track and some basketball and things like that. And I was very proud of it. I had nothing in the way of pictures at all. My girlfriend at the time, this was back in high school, she maintained a massive photo album, yet she didn't participate in sports or, Girl Scouts or any of the extracurricular stuff. So she didn't have any accomplishment album. But I think it's an interesting question, just in terms of the way men and women look at life and what they're proud of. Because when you produce an album of anything, you're showing your pride, whether it's your accomplishments and achievements or whether it's your family and friends. You're showing it to them because you feel good about what you've produced. And I just think when it comes to society, men see production in one way, and women see it through a different lens. No pun intended. But I think that's an interesting question, Ralph.
Thank you.
Hold on, y'all. I got a troll over on YouTube. I can honestly say, and this is going to sound bad, but I would rather you show me a picture of just your vacations and stuff than you showing me pictures of, this is when I got this trophy for this. This is when I got that trophy for that. I would, hold on. All right. But, I would, I would.
Oh, that could be for your own personal, for your own personal time, like to sit down and look at, these are the things I've done over the years. Like maybe you wouldn't necessarily shove it in people's faces, but.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that as a whole, I would prefer you if you're going to shove something in my face. I'd rather it just be your regular photo album as opposed to you're saying, yeah, this is when I won this and this is when I won that. I don't know. I don't know, because I think that, I know that you're proud of your accomplishments, but do you think that it can also look like bragging?
Oh, so can vacation pictures? Oh, we went to
Belize, but vacation pictures are, it's more like you're showing how much fun you had as opposed to I got
one
blue
took hard work, and the other one didn't. It depends, right? Whatever your scope, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay, all right.
If it's a good scenery, a good picture, I've never been there. I would like to see that rather than a plaque, right, or a newspaper clipping of whatever you accomplished. So I understand what you're saying.
Okay, all right. So, anybody else want to add anything, or? Because I'm going to start winding it down. Jill, you have anything you want to add?
No, everything good. Nice to see y'all faces and smiling voices.
I think he's looking at his girl's
phone. On his phone, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, Crucible?
Yeah, I think the thing about pictures is they can come across photo albums. They can come across as, to the person who's showing them, as a little bit egotistical. Look what I did on my vacation, or look what I did in this accomplishment or something. But the other side of that, I think, is really what's more important. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to share things with people who they care about and think would appreciate and get something out of these pictures. So now you're having a shared experience. Even if you, the person viewing the album, wasn't present for a lot of those pictures, you can't share that experience, But when you sit down with somebody, you can share the experience, sort of vicariously, if you will. And I think that's the part where people, they want approval. I went someplace where I did something and you're proud of it, but you also want to share it because you want somebody to endorse it or sanction it or approve it. So I think there's a couple different things that go on with photo albums, but I think it's an interesting question as far as why we do it and how we do it. But I think at the end of the day, we're trying to share stuff with people we care about.
Okay. All right. Well, I personally think, just to wind it up just from what I was saying at the beginning, I personally think that photo albums are a must. I think that you should keep them. I think that you should have them. I think it is completely different from having a phone. And I think that, as you get older, you will probably appreciate the, what do you call it? You'll appreciate them more. So, but that's just me. So with that, guys, I am going to wind it down. And I'm going to thank everyone for coming. Minnesota, thank you very much for the gift. Let's see. Okay, Deb says, no kitty pictures of me. That's good stuff. No pictures from my Pepsi Cola birthday party. Wait till I see you again. Baby pictures are amazing. If you are Tom Brady, you will have several storage units full of pictures of his ego. Okay. And Brady, you're agreeing with Crucible. I'm not sure which part, but you are agreeing with him. All right. And don't forget, guys, on Thursday, Crazy Lady's going to be doing the tarot reading. So anybody wants to have their cards read, we're going to do that for Thursday. And everyone else, Crucible, Ralph, Chill, thank you very much for popping on the show. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say before we ended? And that was from Chill. Ralph, you have anything you want to add?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And have a good day.
Thank you. You too, Crucible.
I think you should play us out today with the Paul Simon song Kodachrome. I think that would be appropriate.
Well, it would be appropriate, but unfortunately I would not be able to publish. So no Paul Simon. So,
those pesky copyright laws.
Those pesky copyright laws. So this one, I don't know if you all are going to like this or not, but this is called Chillax. When I heard it, when I was listening to it, I was thinking about chill. But you guys enjoy the rest of your day and go where the wind takes you. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. Okay, and that's it, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow.